we will do chapter number 6, The Twisted Trial. Read and enjoy the turn of events of an interesting court trial. From the first words Inspector Javert pronounced on entering Monsieur Madeline's office. At the moment when that name which the mayor had buried was uttered, he was seized with stupor. His first thought was to denounce himself, to drag Champmathieu out of prison, and to put himself in his place. He repressed this first impulse and recoiled before such heroism. Returning to his room, he bolted the door, but what he wanted to keep outdoors had entered his conscience. It seemed to him that he had awakened from some slumber, and he found himself gliding over a precipice upon the very edge of an abyss. He perceived in the gloom an unknown man whom fate had mistaken for him, and was pushing into the gulf in his place. It was necessary, in order that the gulf should be closed, that someone should fall in, he or the other. "What am I afraid of?" said Monsieur Madeleine. "After all, if there is any harm done to anybody, it is nowise my fault. It is decided. Let the matter alone. The resolution is found." After the lapse of a few minutes, he questioned himself upon his resolution formed. Maid Madeleine declared that his life, in truth, did have an object. But what object? To conceal his name, to deceive the police. Had he no other object? Which was the truth? One, to save his soul, to close the door on his past. But he was not closing it. He was reopening it by committing an infamous act, for he robbed another of his existence, his life, to become again the convict, Jane Valjean. That was to achieve his resurrection. He must go to Arras, deliver the wrong Jane Valjean, denounce the right one, and then all at once he thought of poor, sick Fantine. "My choice is made. This is in the interest of all, not in my own. I remain Maid Madeleine. Vow to him. Who is Jane Valjean?" thought he. "Come," said he, "there are some threads which net me to this Jane Valjean in this very room. All these must disappear." He opened a secret door. In the closest was an old pair of trousers, a haversack, and a great thong stick, iron bound at both ends. He threw them all into the fire. In a few seconds it was all burning. Suddenly he recoiled with equal terror, for each of the two ideas which concealed him appeared as fatal as the other. For 5 hours he had been walking thus almost without interruption when he dropped into his chair. He fell asleep. When he woke up, he decided to attend the trial. When he reached the court in a few minutes, he found himself in a hall where there were many people. All eyes converged on a single point, on a man between two gendarmes. This was a man, Maid Madeleine thought. He saw himself. Older, not the same, but alike in attitude and appearance. Judges, clerks, gendarmes, throng of heads. He had seen all these once before, the monstrous visions of the past. Maid Medley looked for Inspector Javed but did not see him. At the moment of his entrance, the counsel for the prisoner was finishing his plea. The counsel established that the theft of the apples was not in fact proved. His client, Chap Matthew, had not been seen to scale the wall or break off the branch. He said that he found it on the ground. Undoubtedly, there had been a thief, but what evidence was there that his thief was Chap Matthew? On one single thing, that he was formerly a convict. The prosecuting attorney replied to the counsel, "This man is Jane Villagen. He was identified by 4 witnesses, Javert and 3 convicts, Brevet, Chinaldo and Koch Pile." What had he to oppose this overwhelming unanimity? The prosecuting attorney concluded by reserving entirely the Petit Gervais affair and demanding a sentence to full extent of the law. The time had come for closing the case. The judge commanded the accused to rise and asked, "Have you anything to add your defense?" He said, "I have been a wheelwright at Paris, that it was at Monsieur Bellep's too. I was 53. I earned only 30 sous a day. They paid me as little as they could. I am telling the truth. Go see Monsieur Bellep. I don't know what more you want of me." Monsieur Bellep, the former master wheelwright, could not be found. Turning to the accused, the judge said, "Prisoner, I question you the second time. First, did you steal the apples with the addition of breaking into an enclosure? Secondly, are you or are you not Jane Villagen?" The prisoner was silent. "Prisoner," resumed the prosecuting attorney, "you have replied to nothing that has been asked you." The accused exclaimed, "You are a very bad man. I never stole anything. I was coming from LA, walking alone, and I found a broken branch on the ground with apples on it, and I picked it up not knowing what trouble it would give me. You talk about Jane Villagen. I don't know any such person. I have worked for Monsieur Bellep. My name is Chap Matthew. What is everybody after me for like a mad dog?" The prosecuting attorney addressed the judge. "Sir, we request you and the court to call again the convicts and Inspector Javert and to submit them a final interrogation concerning the identity of the accused." "I must remain," the prosecuting attorney said the presiding judge. That police Inspector Javert, recalled by his duties to a neighboring district, left the city as soon as his testimony was taken. In the absence of Inspector Javert, I think it is my duty to recall the jury what he said here a few hours ago. I do not need even moral presumptions and material proofs to contradict the denials of the accused. This man's name is not Champ Matthew. He is convict Jane Villagen. I recognize him perfectly," said the prosecuting attorney. The prosecuting attorney concluded by insisting that the 3 witnesses should be interrogated anew. The judge gave an order to an officer, and a moment afterward accompanied by a gendarme late in brevet. He was about 60 years old. "Brevet," said the judge, "look well upon the prisoner and say whether you still recognize this man as your former comrade in the galleys, Jean Valjean." Brevet looked at the prisoner and then turned to the court. "Yes, Your Honor, I was the first to recognize him. This man is Jean Valjean, who came to Toulon in 1796 and left in 1815. Chenaldo was brought in, and the judge addressed nearly the same words to him as to Brevet. Chenaldo burst out laughing. "Do I recognize him? We were 5 years of the same chain." The officer brought in Cochepaille, and the judge asked him as he had the others. "It's Jean Valjean," said Cochepaille. "The same they called Jean the Jack." At this moment a voice was heard exclaiming, "Brevet, Chenaldo, Cochepaille, look at this way." A man who had sitting among the privileged spectators had risen and was standing in the center of the hall. The judge, the prosecuting attorney, Monsieur Bemet Bosses, 20 persons recognized him and exclaimed at once, "Monsieur Maid Madeleine." The man advanced toward the witnesses. "Do you not recognize me?" said he. All three stood, confounded, and indicated by a shake of the head that they did not know him. Maid Madeleine said, "Gentlemen of the jury, he is not the man whom you seek. It is I am Jean Valjean. I have disguised myself under another name. I have become a mayor. I did rob Monsieur the Bishop. I did rob Petit Gervais. You will find me in my house, among the ashes of the fireplace, the 40 sous piece of which I robbed the Petit Gervais. Would Inspector Javert were here, he would recognize me." He turned to 3 convicts and said, "Brevet, do you remember those checked knit suspenders that you had in the galleys?" Brevet was struck with surprise. "Chenaldo, the whole of your left shoulder has been burned deeply. Is this true?" "It is true," said Chenaldo. "Cochepaille, you have a date on your left arm. Lift up your sleeve." Cochepaille lifted up his sleeve. "The date was there. You see clearly," said he, "that I am Jean Valjean." It was evident that Jean Valjean was before their eyes. The appearance of this man had been fully enough to clear up the case. So obscure a moment before. "I am going since I am not arrested," continued Jean. "Monsieur, the prosecuting attorney knows where I am going. I will have me arrested when he chooses." He walked toward the outer door. He went out, and the door closed as it had opened. Less than an hour afterward, the verdict of the jury discharged from all the accusation thus said. Champmathieu and the Champmathieu, set at liberty forthwith, went his way, stupefied, thinking all men mad. Abridged extract from Les Miserables by Victor Maria Hugo. Thank you, friends. Friends, if you want the explanation of this chapter, please subscribe my channel to get notification.